Hello, it's Jane here. I'm up at the plot and I'm keeping everything crossed that today goes to plan and I'm able to bring you the July tour, because to be honest, I did do a video about a week ago. Some of you may have seen it, for which I can only apologise, but there were so many technical gremlins got in the way, in the camera, in the mic, in the tripod, and even the editing software that I use at home, that after a day I just pulled it. It was just horrible. So yeah, let's hope today these clouds are going to back off and let me do a nice straightforward July tour. Okay, as ever, I'm going to start you off in the greenhouse, but it's maybe not what you're expecting. By which I mean, there's nothing in it. I can't think of another year when I've actually had a greenhouse or it's been empty in July. I mean, it's not empty. I'm clearly, just to prove that I did dig some garlic up. There's the elephant garlic and the Canadian garlic over there. And I have got some chilies at the end, which I'm really rather pleased with. I'll bring them to you another time. But yeah, it's much like the Dad's Army generation of us will know the story of the old empty barn. Yeah, if you know that punchline, put it in the comments below. But yeah, that's what comes to mind when I look in the greenhouse. However, if I show you the other one, there we go. That's more like it, isn't it? Lots of lots of green and overgrown things. Let me just show you. So down here, I've got my cucumbers, and look, you'll like this. What a rookie error this is. And I'm not even a rookie, I wouldn't think anymore. But look, I've got it trailing up this lovely chicken mesh. And where are the cucumbers actually deciding to form? On the other side. So you can imagine that's quite fun, harvesting those at the moment. But it's doing very well. I decided this year I was only going to grow 3 plants, because I'm never quite sure what to do with all the cucumbers. I like to eat them fresh. I know people have said before you can fry them and you can pickle them. I don't really like pickles. So I'm growing just enough to keep us happy, really. And if I pan over nice and slowly to the other side, some of you might recognise this. So I put it on the Facebook page, I think, last night, and Instagram. Look at this pepper. This is the first time, I think, well, it's definitely the first time I've grown this sort of pepper, but first time I've really had any success with sweet peppers. Chilies I usually do okay, but this is Marconi red, clearly not red yet. But if we look at the plants, look! Now, I don't know how many I'm going to get per plant, but let's bring you up to this one here. It's one of those things, because they're green with so many things, you tend not to spot them all at once, but yeah, I'm really quite happy with this little crop. So let's hope the slugs and snails stay off a little bit longer. I'll bring you up to this side. This patch here, I had a load of self-seeded coriander, which in itself had gone to seed. So that's come up. That's the parsley, which is also going to seed now, which I'm leaving in. And at the end here, my loofah seeds, very, very kindly sent to me by Annette from Little Patch of Norfolk. Annette, look how they're doing. Look. And the reason I'm so excited about these is because, oh, I need to put something else in to help them climb. But the reason I'm so excited about these, let me slowly pan round to the other one. Look. Look how healthy they are. Yeah, let's just say they're doing a lot better than my melons, which we'll come to in a minute. So yeah, they're okay. And then next to them, we've got the overwintered kale. Oh my goodness, what a fantastic beast that has been. And you can see now, look, it's finally going to flower and going to seed at the top. So we'll save some seeds from that. And across the whole roof of the greenhouse, we have got some glorious, glorious grapes. I've thinned them out a little bit, but look at them. My goodness me. I think I'm going to have to thin them out again. The fruit cage has finally got some mesh on. So we're actually having to use the door at the minute. And I just noticed today when I came up that our first autumn fruiting raspberries are up. Look, these are polka. Oh, look at that, I'm going to have to eat that. These are polka, and these were transplanted in here a few months ago. Excuse me. Oh, that's just gorgeous. I prefer raspberries to strawberries, I say it every time. And, oh, it's full of bees. But yeah, I'll be glad about that, because the summer raspberries that we planted, I'll show you again in a minute, were absolutely pants. The currants, yeah, not so good this year, and suffering from this. So a lot of remedial work needs doing on those for the next year. Red currants came and went before we put the net up, typical. So the blackbird feasted on most of those. But we've also had plenty of gooseberries, which is great. They're just about finished now. The green ones were much, much larger than the red ones. Let me just see if there's any red ones left. Oh, they're so thorny. Oh, there are. Look. And these, they're not very big. Ah, not very big at all. But they're lovely and sweet. So yeah, quite pleased with them. Another couple there. But I think onwards and upwards really with the fruit cage. Next year we'll actually put the netting on before most of the fruit comes. But yeah, really, really pleased. And I've said before, it's a super strong cage. Really love it. So that is a boon. Right, onwards and upwards. The dahlias have finally been planted and are starting to reward me already with their flowers. Look at this one. This one's called Honker. I just love it. It's so unusual. Not at all what you'd expect from a dahlia, but we've got that. We've got the glorious colours of Totally Tangerine. You can't probably really see that on the camera. I mean, that one's just gone over, but the colours in that are just beautiful. And yeah, if I pull back, you can see the rest of the dahlias. Oh, I can spot a couple down there. They're starting to come. And we've got gladioli, which have never grown before, all coming up in between. So dead pleased with that. Also, I'll just tell you quickly, these tomatoes were all spares that nobody else wanted, so I've popped them in pots and they're doing very well so far. Fingers and toes and everything crossed for tomatoes, because I know a few people have had a terrible time with blight. But yeah, so dahlia bed done. Blueberries, nah. Pots next year, so we're going to be thinking about something to put in the in there as a perennial. So yeah, if you can think of any perennial veg, I think we've got enough fruit. Do let me know. I know there's a whole load you can do, but what would you put in that bed? Bearing in mind it has been given quite a lot of acid stuff, so yeah, something that prefers an acid loving soil. But yeah, remember the arch. I'll put a link to it somewhere. Okay, it's not as smothered as I would like it to be this year, but the tayberry that I moved is actually producing, again, only small fruits. Let me show you. So far, you know, they're teeny tiny. I would like them at least twice that big, but it was just moved this year. And to be honest, I'm thrilled it's given me anything. Whereas the blackberry, again, I think we're going to have to wait another year for that, because pretty much the branches that were moved this year are dead. But look at all this gorgeous new growth, which will all produce fruit for next year. So that is going to be gorgeous. And again, we're always looking ahead, aren't we? So yeah, looking forward to that next year. Moving on, the golden marjoram is bringing in so many bees. I can't tell you, it's lovely. I've got a couple of courgette plants in here. 2 out of the 5 that I put in. But you can see the bin actually, we're actually using this bit of soil here for our bokashi bin contents. So I'll bring you an update on that probably in the next week or two, as to how the bokashi bin contents have merged themselves into the soil. I've lost my words today, but you know what I mean. And on the other side we've got, again, I wasn't going to do outside tomatoes, but bearing in mind I had 83 plants and I couldn't give them away in the end for love nor money, so this poor thing has fallen over, so it needs some attention. But if I show you the reason it's fallen over, it's got so much fruit on. Look at that. It's doing so well. Oh bless it, it really does need tying up, so I'll do that in a minute. And let me just put it down again gently. If I show you the rest of the outdoor ones, look at that. They're all fairly similar, they're doing well, but again, as we know, heartbreak could be around every corner. We just don't know when blight will strike. The thing is, the weather has been wet, it has been warm, it has been humid, it has been perfect conditions for blight. So yeah, every day I come up and there's no sign of it on the leaves yet. And please look, that one's fallen as well. But let me just show you these. These are called, let me just check, blueberries. And these are one of the ones that the lovely Ali sent me over from the States. And I'm so looking forward to those ripening because I want to know what they taste like. I imagine they'll be sharper than a red tomato, I don't know why, but yeah, they're coming well. But yeah, outdoor tomatoes, I'm pleased to shove them in. There's the asparagus bed. Can you tell which way the wind's blowing? Look at the sticks, even the sticks are facing that way. But I tell you, I know there's a few more outdoor tomatoes in the frontier, and these were planted actually as more of a sacrificial tomato because we had blight in this patch last year, but we actually got asparagus beetle, which was heartbreaking, being as it was our first year of actually being able to harvest the asparagus. And tomatoes are a good deterrent. They exude something from the roots that deters asparagus beetle, and in turn asparagus exudes something that's useful to tomatoes. You can look it up, but basically they're really good companion plants, so that's why these tomatoes are here. But again, they're doing very well. But if you look at the fronds of the asparagus, try not to stand on a tomato, Jane, they're gorgeous. They are just gorgeous. I mean, what would you pay for that in a florist shop? Probably a couple of pennies, but you know what I mean, don't you? They're really lovely. So pop a few of those in with a few calendula, and you've got a lovely display. Speaking of which, these all self-seeded last year. I've actually, you can see where I've taken a whole load out because they were just crowding everything. So I had to be really harsh. I did apologise to them. And I did the same to this side. Look, actually, oh, why isn't the sun out when you want it to be? When you walk down there, you've got the calendula there, you've got your marjoram, you've got your thyme, which is already flowered at the far end. Oh, it's just gorgeous on a sunny day. They're just covered in bees. It's not great if you don't like bees, but I love it. Yeah, so this side was thinned out as well because this is where all the garlic was. Again, my actual garlic harvest, not thrilled with, but the elephant garlic and the Canadian garlic, really pleased with. And as soon as they came up, threw a little bit of lime on the soil, raked it over, and in went the purple sprouting broccoli. Strawberries have been and gone now. Got an okay crop off them. It's the first year they've been in this new site, so yeah, what I've done is I've taken loads of the runners off this year because I want all the energy to go back into the older plants, so next year will be even better. But again, the lavender is just going over now. I can see from here, I'm sure you can't see from there, but guess what? It's covered in bees. I think I really need to go and get a hive, don't I? Gorgeous. Okay, if I just show you quickly, this is our onion bed. If you remember earlier in the year, I interplanted the onions with carrots. Again, a little bit of companion plant in there. They both produce quite strong smells which deter or confuse the fly that's trying to get to the other thing. And actually, oh, look at that, look at that. That needs to come up, doesn't it? I'm going to try and pull it. Should I try and pull it? I'm not going to try and pull it. I'll come back to that in a minute and bring it up. But yeah, these are starting to flop over now. I know quite a lot of people have harvested their onions already, but once the stalks, if you like, have started to flop, that's a sign, that's the onion saying, can you please dig me up? So they'll be coming up. I'm quite pleased with the crop. This year was terrible. These have still got a fair way to go. These were put in, I would say, 2 or 3 weeks later. And yeah, they're still growing. But here's what I'm really thrilled with this year after last year's pants beans. At the front here, we've got some Madeira maroon. And I realise I keep saying this. People who've kindly sent me seeds, these were from Paul, from Richard and Paul. And look at these, Madeira maroon. And apparently you can eat them as the pods, or you can eat the beans inside as well, which turn into something that looks like a borlotti bean, my favourite bean. So I'm really excited about growing them. But look, we're actually in for quite a treat, I think, because yeah, when you think we hardly got any last year. So we've got quite a lot of them. The cobra beans are next. These are, we've had, oh, a fair few picking of these already. I mean, they're looking quite sparse now, isn't that typical? But the freezer is filling up quite nicely with these. So every time we come down, we pick a few. I must be honest, I'm not blanching them. I'm just bunging them in a bag and putting them flat in the freezer to freeze like that, because you know, if you're going to eat them up in the next few months, which we will, then they'll be fine. And then here we go. These are the borlotti. Now I must admit, I expected the Madeira maroon pods to look like this early on. Whether they turn like this later or whether they stay green, I'm not that sure, but I'm sure I'll soon find out. But yeah, my borlotti bean. You know, I've said before, if I only grew one bean, it would be the borlotti. Deep breath, and in we go. Tomatoes as far as the eye can see. But what I'm pleased with, I'm going to show you down here in this corner, is my Minnesota midget melon. And that's a mouthful. However, if you look on here, oh, this might be going the same way as the other one. The leaves aren't looking happy. It's getting fed once a week. I think we need to up the feeding, but the leaves are telling me we are either overwatering or underwatering, which is really useful, isn't it? However, it is producing flowers, nowhere like as good as the flowers that I'm seeing on the Facebook page. If you're not aware, if this is your first time tuning in, I am taking part in a transatlantic melon challenge this year, so I'll put a link to it somewhere. And we've got teams from UK and Europe against teams from the US and Canada, all sort of trying to grow the best melons. And from what I can gather so far, the other team are doing quite well. So come on, melons, pick yourselves up. The ones on the other side, ooh, actually these look a little bit more rampant, should we say, but I still can't see signs of any melons on there. There's plenty of flowers. I'm sure if I had a good search, I'd find some. But yeah, pleased with them. Not so pleased with the ones at the other end, but I'll show you that in a minute. Yeah, and what's happened to this? Look at this. This poor little stunted tomato. Honestly, it's got some lovely tomatoes on it, just a few. Let's see what it is. What does that say? Oh, crikey. Pink heart tomatoes. So I know they are an indeterminate variety, so they're meant to grow as tall as all the others, but clearly not happy. But then, if I move over, look again. honestly, I do feel a bit guilty because I know there are people who've lost all their tomatoes, but you know, so far is so goody. Look at these on here. I couldn't wish for better tomatoes at the moment, I must say. I mean, these are just on this side, and as I've said before, these are a great mix of known varieties such as Sun Gold and what are the other ones I've grown before? Pink Heart, Orange Banana. But then I've got some of the weird and wonderful ones off Ali, such as Pink Bumblebee, Pink Tie-Dye. Oh, I've got Black Russian down here somewhere. It's Black Russian, and this one is a potato leaf variety. Of course, they're in the same family, but usually you get serrated leaves of tomatoes, don't you? Look at those, they're doing very well. But if I look next door, look what's going on. Not all is sunny and happy in the polytunnel. This is my sugar baby watermelon, and this has clearly got rust. Ah, but look, it's also got what could be a prize-winning melon. Ta-da! Hey, you know what? You've got to take it where you can find it, haven't you? Now, the thing is, again, rust, overwatering, underwatering, overfeeding, underfeeding. What I am going to do is, spray it with neem oil, a neem oil mixture, and see if that helps it along a little bit. I mean, it doesn't kill the plant, it shouldn't affect the fruits, but it will weaken the plant significantly. And if I show you on this side, let's go melon hunting. Okay, tell me if you see one. Yeah, they're not very old. Oh, one there. Again. Very, very small. Not like the watermelons you buy in the shops. I keep saying you can't buy them in the shops. You couldn't buy this, could you? You couldn't buy that one. Oh no, that's a delicacy. Look at that. You never know, that might be it. Come on, little watermelon. Pull your socks up. You've got work to do. And I have just got to mention this weird and wonderful one which I've never grown before. This is Brad's Atomic Grape tomato, and look at them already. They're quite weird and wonderful with these markings on them. So yeah, apparently they sort of go purpley coloured, like with a bit of a sheen on. So we will see if this is what they ripen to, but yeah, quite exciting to try something new.
Hello and welcome to Mike's Extra Bit. This is the top part of the neighbouring allotment, which isn't as aesthetically pleasing as you can see as Jane's, but is quite productive. I've got a few rows of potatoes here, including some Sarpo Mira, which have done okay. They haven't got massive, I think, because of the dry weather that we've had, and we've tried not to water. We've just tried to use a little bit of no dig and just mulched up. And then we've got a row, in fact we've got two rows here of rat or ratty. Not sure how you pronounce those, but they're a French variety, supposedly delicious. We haven't dug any up at all yet. We might give that a go in a minute. And then we've got a row here of summer sprouting broccoli and some red cabbage here, which is doing really well. The red cabbage seems to have not been eaten by anything really. And then some fairly manky standard greyhound cabbage at the end. More red cabbage down here. Some walking stick kale in the centre here, which needs to be, well, need to sort of raise the netting a little bit here to let that flourish. And then some Romanesco cauliflower on the far side, which we've never had any success with, but we've watered that quite diligently. We're hoping that's going to work out. And then we've got my squash bed over here, the squash and courgette bed. And I don't know if you remember, but we tried a number of different slug defences. And in fairness, really all the slug defences worked. So we tried coffee grounds, we tried ash from the fire, we tried some tin foil. I think it was just so dry at the time that we planted them, they took a while to get going, and it was probably too dry for the old slugs to come out. We tried lime as well. And anyway, after a little while of getting established, we've now got some whopping specimens here. Well, that's gotten a little bit too big really, as you can see. But we've got loads and loads of courgettes, like you get when you have a reasonable courgette harvest. We've got some ichikikuri squash here on the way, and we've got some blue Hubbard squash on the way over here on this side. This one is trying to run to a different plot altogether, as you can probably see. So there is a little tiny, on its way, Hubbard squash, which is going to turn a nice shade of blue, I hope. Don't know if you can see that. Yeah, so that's hopefully going to be a nice long-keeping Hubbard squash. And then the only other thing that I've got over here is a little kind of bus stop type affair with some sprouts in it. They're looking a little bit sorry for themselves, but we hope they're going to come. That's me done.
Okay, so there we go. And I think it's gone okay. Probably way too long, as ever, but you're used to that. And it is the July tour. There's quite a lot to see. I know the last couple of tours, I've sort of almost apologised by the fact that they're pretty much the same as the month before. But yeah, look, it's just gorgeous. I mean, this isn't by any means the whole amount of food we could take home today, but this is just going around saying, oh, that's ready, we'll have some of that. I'll show you, this is my July trug. So in here I have kohlrabi, a few lovely little carrots, lettuce, teeny tiny radish, which, you know, they're beautiful, and we grow them. We tend to not thin them out, we grow them in clumps, so you just pull them as you want to. So you end up with these tiny little ones growing around the edge, which are so sweet, they're lovely. The ratty potatoes that Mike was talking about, a little bit ratty, hope they don't taste ratty. We've got beetroot, we've got turnip, we've got the cobra beans, we've got some of the, I call it purple sprouting broccoli, Mike's calling it summer broccoli. There we go. Some of that. We've got kale, the errant cucumber that decided to grow on the other side of the wire fence, and a couple of big courgettes, including Mike's great big marrow in there. And yeah, that's just, you know, that's just going around picking the odd few things. There's no fruit there's no fruit at the moment. But what you will notice is, which is unusual, and everyone's saying that this year it's unusual for them, is the distinct lack of tomatoes. The only tomatoes I've had ripen so far are a couple of the tiny sun gold, and to be honest, they don't make it out of the polytunnel, they just go straight in here. So yeah, tomatoes are taking quite a while to ripen this year, and as I say, the race is on now. Will they ripen before they get blight? But yeah, that's the only thing. I reckon if I looked back to last year's or maybe the year before, there'd be some tomatoes in there as well, but that's not bad, is it, eh? It's one of those things though, I go home really proud, excuse me, and then I put it on the kitchen table and think, oh, I'm gonna have to do something with it all now. But yeah, I wouldn't swap it at all. If it's your first year gardening, now is the sort of time when you'll be starting to reap the rewards, and there will have been times along the way where you'll have thought, this is a lot of work for what seems like not a lot of reward. But hopefully, I mean, it might not be as big as this, we've been doing it a long time, we've got a lot of space to grow things, but yeah, just you know, if you go home with a turnip, it'll be the best turnip you've ever had. But yeah, really pleased with that. It's been a month of mixed fortunes, both on and off the plot. Off, you just don't even want to go there. But on the plot, we've had some quite extreme weather for the UK to be getting on with. We've had the hottest days recorded in history ever, a couple of weeks ago, which we had quite a prolonged heat wave, so obviously the ground dried out quite a lot. Everyone was desperate for some rain to fill the water butts. And then what seems to have been happening across the UK is you seem to get quite isolated incidents of torrential rain. And we were actually lucky enough, and I don't say that very often, to have one of those downpours a few days ago, and that certainly made stuff pick up a bit. Hello, Mike. Mike's eating the beans on the way home. But yeah, so it did the soil the world of good. Like I say though, I know I keep coming back to it, what you've got to be careful of now is the damp, the warmth. It's actually a bit cooler today, which is good. And we're going to keep an eye out for those pesky diseases, because what about my mouldy melons? What am I going to do? I'm going to get the neem spray on them. Neem oil mixed with some water, tiny bit of proper soap, not dishwashing soap. We don't want detergent on it. We just want some proper soap, soapy soap. There is a word for it, to help it stick. And we'll see if we can just sort of keep the plants going enough to actually produce some melons. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? But yeah, really thrilled. Really thrilled. I'm not going to talk too much because I think this video has gone on for quite a long time, and already I'm looking around now and I'm seeing things that I haven't shown you. You know, we've interplanted the fruit, or rather we've lined the fruit cage with the turnips and radishes and lettuce and quick growing crops. There's the fruit trees at the top I haven't showed you. There's quite a few things that I could just go on and on and on, and you know I normally do, but I'm not going to. All the links are below, so come along to Instagram, come along and keep up with what's going on Facebook. Again, this is the time of year where people are coming in with their hints and tips about what they should do with this, that and the other, you know, and we're having recipes and things. And I know my friend Michelle put a lovely recipe on for rhubarb and, was it spiced? Rhubarb and spiced fig chutney the other day, you know. Great idea, I've never had that before. Someone also told me about beetroot. If you prefer not to have your beetroot pickled, I mentioned before I'm not a pickle fan, boil your beetroot about 20 minutes, nice and soft, let it cool, then roll it in sugar. Obviously wipe the skin off, because once it's boiled you can just move the skin off. Then roll it in sugar once it's cooled, put it in the oven, and instead of just your roast beetroot, you will have a sweet, almost caramelized roast beetroot, and that is just gorgeous. Again, it's just a different way of doing things, so you know, have a little think about it. But yeah, do come along and say hello, and please, if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. It would be nice. It'd be nice to think someone is actually sitting there and watching the video. So yeah, I'm going to love you and leave you. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all getting excited about what you're getting out of your garden now. Leave a comment below and keep in touch. Okay, and I'm going to go now. See you next time.